all of this should have happened last year. But the good news is it's going to happen this year in May. And I know all the cancellations that we've had, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your faith in us that we would pull this off. And we will pull off 2 activities this May. Your children will be part of a garden party that includes 2021, and the girls will be part of a Cavalier dance that includes 2021 Cavaliers as well as the 2020 Cavaliers. That should be a grand happening, Caroline. Caroline, who is in charge of all of this. And I just have to say we have such a terrific board, Jan and Caroline, and some of the leaders and shovers that aren't here. They've made all of this happen through plans, and then no, that's not going to work, and then another plan. So I owe them a debt of gratitude because it makes me, standing up here, it makes my job so much easier. And you're going to hear from Jan, and you're going to hear from Caroline, you're going to hear from whoever else. But do know, if you have a question, you can always call me, but call your advisor. They should be able to answer any question that you have. And I just have one more thing to say. I have one message from Carol Brigham, and that is to remind those of you, and you know who you are, who haven't sent in the pictures of your daughter's dresses, front and back, and make, if possible, for approval. We do have a strict policy about debutante dresses, and we're not the only one. All DEB organizations have strict policies, and unless the daughter's dress is approved by the dress committee, they will not be able to participate as a debutante. So that's an important thing to do, to get that dress in and get it approved. We look forward to 2020 making their debut in May of 2021.
She's going to shoot me, but you cannot imagine how much work this woman does throughout the year to benefit all of us, and owe her a huge debt of gratitude. Thank you, Christine. Well, welcome. Needless to say, thank you so much for coming today. The Southern Debutante Assembly has been introducing and presenting the patrons' children for the last 58 years. And your Deb has the unusual distinction of having the most unusual season ever. It's going to work, though. The board and the many other volunteers have been working very hard and creatively to put this schedule together so that your families will be able to have special memories of this experience going forward. Couldn't do it last year, but we're going to get it done this year. And we want y'all to have a great time, but we also want to honor our traditions, our time-honored traditions, which have worked so successfully for the past nearly 60 years. To help you with the details and the decisions that are ahead of you, and believe me, there are plenty. There are a lot. Not only do you have to deal with your schedule, your daughter's presenter, her escort, your husband, your other children, her friends, and get it all going in the right direction takes a lot of forethought and planning. However, we are here to help and guide. And each year we create this book for y'all. I hope y'all have your book. We call it The Book. And each of you has an area advisor who is always super happy to hear from you for any reason. No question is too small, or call her at the drop of a hat. And if she doesn't know the answer, because it is going to be a really unusual year, she will find the answer and get back with you. Also, and I'm probably going to say this 6 times, even though your season is so compressed, if there is a change in your family situation, your address, your grandparents' health, whether they're going to participate, that kind of thing, please let your area advisor know right away so we can get the invitations and the publicity and all that correct. We want to do it right. And so we are going to have a lot of fun, and the compressed schedule shouldn't really diminish the ability for y'all to have fun and then connect with old friends and with whom you have an awful lot in common through this assembly, if nothing more, and make a lot of new ones. Basically, we're going to do an overview of the book today. I hope you've all read it. But first, I want to introduce myself. I'm Jan Sturdivant. I grew up in Memphis and married into the assembly. I didn't make my debut with the assembly. I've had a son and a daughter go through it, and I have 5 grandchildren who are kind of getting to that age, so I'm getting excited. I've been on the board for 38 years, so it's going to be really exciting to see them go through without being the mama. Caroline Townson Falls, my partner in crime today, lives in Minner City, which is right north of Greenwood. And as Christine said, she is the lady who keeps the Cavaliers on task, which is a big job, and we really appreciate that. And she's got... They do, absolutely. We could tell stories about that, but we won't today, especially since it's on video. So more from her later. And we usually have such a nice size group with other mothers of the pages and the page escorts, and we have board members, but we just aren't going to do that today. Before we dive into the book, if you would pull out your Deb lists and find your name if you haven't already, and make sure that everything is absolutely correct on that list. And speaking of things in the room, there is one persona in the room that bears mentioning. He's kind of the elephant in the room, and we know him, we hate him, and his name is coronavirus. So we are obviously with the intention of making every effort to keep everyone well during this experience. It's going to be especially challenging, but obviously everyone's health is the most important thing. And to our benefit, we have been listening for a year now about how to do things that'll keep us safe, promote healthy social interaction. So we are insisting that y'all do everything that you can and every opportunity to keep everybody safe. And it's not unlovely to ask someone to, put their mask on or whatever, because this is for everyone's safety. Very important. Before you leave today, I may just pass it around. This is for the publicity chairman, and so I need the debutante name, the school that she's attending. And if she is affiliated with a sorority, which sorority it is. Hang on, Caroline. I'm also going to pass out what I believe is a correct schedule. The last time, 2 days after the book was published, things changed like crazy. So hopefully, I did this yesterday, so hopefully, Caroline, can I get... Okay, we have extra books, we have extra masks, We don't have extra lists. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask.
I know you all are paying attention to Jan, so no one's looking at your phone, I guess. But this does say, "Dear parents of 2020 debutantes, in normal times, about a month before the White and Gold Ball in December, the season's debutantes are announced through the publication of formal portraits and brief biographies in hometown newspapers. The COVID-19 pandemic interrupted the process last year, and moving the 2020 presentation and ball in May of 2021 compressed our timeline to prepare for publication. We are making some changes in our 2020 publicity plans that will let us continue the traditions we've built over the years and that we hope will result in less stress for you and your family. First, we are relaxing the dress code for the debutante's formal portraits. Each debutante will wear a classic white or pastel blouse, solid, no prints please, and a strand of pearls. This will be a head and shoulder shot. You will receive a photo image by email in a few days to serve as an example. Also, we will not require that these portraits be taken at Lamb's Photography in Greenwood. We hope your freedom to engage a local photographer will ease some time pressure on your family. If your Deb has already had her sitting at Lamb's, you will not be charged for a second sitting there. We've included specifications below for you to share with your photographer. This is going to be on your phones. This year, the formal individual portraits and bios of your debutantes will appear in a program booklet rather than in the newspaper. We will have that for you at the 2020 presentation in May. Then in June, the formal group photos taken at the 2020 garden party and at the 2020 presentation and ball will appear in the newspapers as usual, followed by the season's casual party write-ups and photos. Finally, and most important, we will need the selected photograph emailed from your photographer to Lamb's Photography no later than April 15th. That's important, so your daughters will be included in this booklet. And if you have any questions, please call or email either Jo Alice Darden or Hank Lamb, and both of those names are in your books. Does everybody understand that?
So
April 15th is the deadline for you to get that casual photograph in a solid dress and a solid blouse and pearls to Hank Lamb. Okay.
So we'll get your books out. Everybody have a book? Need a book? All right. Y'all have a question or?
Well, we already did our portrait at Hank Lamb over Christmas because I knew I'd never see her again.
So wherever she is, she can do the new, with the blouse and just get it emailed to him.
So there won't be an individual picture of the girls in their debutante gowns in any publication? I know you said they're
In
going to do a group,
the
but they won't do an individual one?
individual, but there aren't in a normal year in a publication. It's just the group pictures in the newspaper. She was saying, well,
The individual, 2 years ago when my daughter,
yeah,
there was a picture of her individually in her gown in our local paper.
oh, okay.
There won't be anything in our newspapers this spring.
Well, in June, won't there be group? She was saying there won't be an individual picture of each
That's what
Deb.
I'm asking.
Oh, an individual picture?
Because that would take everyone making their,
No, what I'm saying is, once they're here, like for rehearsal or the night of the ball, they take individual pictures with Hank Lamb. Would those be appropriate to put in the paper after?
Well, when you're here in May, you're going to be going.
Well, no, they do he will take individual pictures here at the ball that night, after the presentation.
But not in the studio. It'll be, okay, yeah, they'll be, like, that's normal. But it will not be published.
I don't think she plans to have the
individually.
individual pictures I think she plans just to have the group pictures. And, you know, like Clarksdale's group, or Greenwood's group, or Meridian's group. I don't think there's going to be, is that your question? There's going to be a booklet that you're going to get at the garden party. And in that booklet, in that thing, it's going to start off with alphabetically the first daughter, the first debutante alphabetically. There'll be a picture of her there with that picture that you send in and her bio. Next page, next debutante. But that picture that generally goes in the newspaper in the spring, there will be no pictures in the paper. There will be a group picture, and by towns in June, that will be in the Greenwood paper. But now, you're talking about the typical picture that was in the newspaper is going to be in your booklet.
Yes.
It's like it's going to be like a program, sort of a keepsake thing.
Right.
It was the best, you know, I'm sorry it didn't work out, but it's just the best we could come up with.
So I'm just curious, how many are you taking a picture?
You will not be charged for it. Unless you want to buy it. Unless you want to buy it from Rumfeld, that's fine, but, Lambs, but,
It's just hard getting these girls back home.
what?
It's just a little difficult to get them back home.
Which is the problem, because you don't want to put everyone, everyone needs to be represented.
It was
And
a
it can be.
minority of pictures that were taken. A very small, I want to say, maybe they're just all here. It was like, I think she said 6 or 7 pictures, people had been to Lambs.
I'm thinking maybe the majority had already done.
Oh, no. Think again. Doesn't happen.
Well, with all the uncertainty, it was
Yeah.
really twice as hard to get your daughter to,
And some
Or
people
a daughter
didn't,
to get here.
some people decided not to even get a dress because they didn't think we were going to be able to pull this off, so. We do the best we can about all that.
so the booklet that they're going to get will be a wonderful keepsake, and they can, have that going forward, which will be nice. And some kind of representation, because the typical formal pictures in the paper, the Greenwood paper, we just can't make that work in this short time frame. So, thank you. Okay, so in the front of the book, you've got the listing of all the area advisors, their emails. You've got the country club number, Lamb's photography number, and the 3 formal wear vendors on the bottom of page 5 that are very familiar of what should be rented, especially to the men. I hope and pray that y'all will get your daughters, I'm just going to say your daughters or nieces or nephews, your Deb, to sit down and go over this book with them. One of my little jobs is right before the presentation. I'm usually back there with the Debs, and you can so tell which girls understand the moment and what's going on, and ones that have really no clue. And it's just a shame to miss this rare and lovely experience by them not appreciating it and understanding it. And they may not totally appreciate it probably when they're doing it, because they're going to be nervous, but later on, I think they will. So go over it with them, go over the list with them. You can say, oh, I went to school with this mama, and then at their luncheons and their social events, it gives them connections to talk about and connections to improve upon, which is what this is all about. So, show of hands of who has a dress. See, y'all are the the super moms. This is great. All right. There is a dress code, as has been said, and just please understand that the Southern Debutante Assembly is not trying to stifle anyone's creative self-expression, but it's just you wear a certain dress to a certain type of party, and we would just like beautiful and elegant. They have lots of opportunities at college to wear all kinds of different dresses. Okay, so on page 8, we'll get Caroline to come up here and tell you about Cavaliers.
I am Caroline Falls, and I am the Cavalier advisor, and I do live in Minter City, and I did make my debut here. I have 4 children, 1 debutante, 3 Cavaliers. The baby will be a Cavalier for 21. All right, if your daughter has a question about a Cavalier issue, if you have a question about a Cavalier issue, my information is found on page 4, 8, 10, and 26. You can't miss me. Please contact me anytime. If I don't get right back to you, it means I'm looking it up or trying to figure it out, or I'm not at home or whatever. And I send emails out through Sally Carson because she is a beautiful person and does that for me. And so don't respond directly to her emails. My email's on the bottom of it. Just click on that and ask me your question that way. Get your pens out, ladies. With parking and all of that, when the night of the garden party, they will come here and have a dinner. Then we will have the Cavalier party right after that. So there's 2 numbers you need to write down. Roach Transportation Service. And we have a verbal agreement with them. It is $5 cash each way per person. Roach Transportation Service. I know. And the number is 662-392-0756. The other number is Debbie Oxnam, and her number is 662-299-8035. Debbie's a little bit more expensive. Roach is kind of, please pick us up at 8:30 at Hampton Inn. And we have 12 people. Well, he will show up with a van that will fit 12 or more people and bring them out here, and then they call them back and they'll ship them back home. That way they're not on the road, they're not driving, everybody's safe, you don't have to deal with parking and all that.
How did they pay him for that?
Cash.
Right there.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Cash when you walk on board. $5 cash each person.
Is your tip?
That's.
Will you repeat Debbie's number?
Yes, sorry. It's 662-299-8035.
It's Debbie Oxen.
Oxnum, and I don't know how to spell it. Do you know how to spell it?
O-X-N-A-M.
There we go. Have we talked about the drink tickets? We want to wait on that issue.
That's your.
Okay. We will have tables set up during rehearsal and the night of the Cavalier party and the night of the ball. So what happens is they come in, somebody else is IDing them, they paying them. I have no idea who's 21. I have no idea who's 18. That's not my job. So they can get their drink tickets and they can get a drink, whether it's Coke or a beer. I mean, whatever they want. But I'm out of all of that. I'm not, the Southern Debutante Assembly and the Cavaliers are not IDing anybody. Tuxes, a Cavalier is going to have a tux for the ball. If you've got your presenters and your escorts, that's on page 19 of the gray book. Connerly's and Smith and Company have that information here in town. You can send that to. On Cavalier parties, I have a list of Cavaliers. What happens is they go to school and they get out of school, then they're bored and they hear this great party in Greenwood and they want to come. Yay, all about it. Except this is the Cavalier party in honor of the debutantes. Any Deb can come into that party and not have to have a date. If she does have a date, he has to be a Cavalier. If she wants all her friends, Beth and Sally and Jane, to come to the party, they have to have a date with a Cavalier. That way, people aren't crashing this party, because this is in honor of the debutantes. And we want the debutantes to have fun, not Sally Sue from wherever she's from. And these Cavaliers can call me, they can email me, they can text me. We're working on Venmo, but they can pay at the door, check or cash. And I write their names down, and so if they want to pay their dues the night of, we can make that happen. But they will not have an invitation sent to them because I didn't have their address. Yes, ma'am.
The Cavalier Ball that in this summer, is it formal?
No, it's coat and tie, because
Well,
it's on the invitation.
The Cavaliers that paid their dues last year.
They're good.
They don't have to pay it again?
Nope.
Okay.
And I have my box and a partial list. I've got about 70, 75 Cavaliers right now.
Okay.
That includes 20 and 21. We're just smashing them all together, hoping everybody's going to have a great time with this crazy year. Yes,
okay, so the 4 additional invitations that the Debs can,
they can come, but they can't come to my party without a date with the Cavalier. It's really just more simple to every boy needs to be a Cavalier. And they need to be at least as old as the debutante. So that's another thing.
But you're saying if the last minute Sally gets a different date or something.
He can come, but he's got to pay me at the
somebody got
door.
sick, he can just pay right when he gets there, so you don't have to.
I get calls
Name or-
Christmas Eve. Can I come?
Okay.
Yes, you may, but you need to bring me $95.
Change.
Oh, yeah. But that, you have to be flexible because they broke up with somebody and they,
Right.
all of that. But I'll give you an example. My daughter, when she made her debut, well, I've got 20 people coming. I said, no, you do not. These people are not coming from Memphis and New Orleans and wherever, they're not coming. Well, 20 people were coming. Luckily, we had a rental house, and we stuck the boys in there, and the girls stayed with us. But what she did is she got her friend group. She had 10 guy friends and 10 friend girls, and, the girls paid for half of the Cavalier dues, and they all went together. They don't have to have a date with the Cavalier. They have to walk in with the Cavalier. So it can, and so the next year she had 12. And the next year, all boys came back the third year. The girls didn't, but the guys loved it. So that's the way she got around having all of her friends being able to come to the Cavalier party and the ball, and by just everybody, group of friends, let's do this, and that's what they did. Just made it more fun for her, anyway. Any other questions about Cavaliers?
I have one, it's probably in the book, but
It's
I'm
okay.
asking anyway. If a because I know Lily has 2 friends that are Cavaliers. If they're not presenting, do they have to wear the coattails?
No, just a tux.
Just the tux, okay.
Yeah. And all I can say is read the book and call your advisor. You can call me, but if it's a Deb question, I probably can't answer it. But, and truly call me, text me, email me, any questions. And especially, send my information to your girls, because that's usually where it comes from. My son's at Ole Miss, and he goes, I've got a question. I'm like, okay, what now? And so, but he's got a couple of friends that are Debs, and they're asking him questions. So give him my number. It doesn't bother me at all.
Okay, so I'm getting cloudy, so just bear with me.
Mhm.
Everything that you just spoke of, is that for the Cavalier party and the white and gold ball, the transportation, the Cavalier
Yeah,
game?
Roach and Debbie will transport you anywhere you want to go, any day you want to do it. But I suggest going ahead and booking it as early as you can. Because people will forget, and then you'll have 8 people staying at the Hampton Inn that need a ride, and they're calling him that night. They're gonna be late. He'll get them, but he'll, you know.
Like when? Give me a,
I would do it at least 2-3 weeks out.
okay.
They don't need to wait till the last minute.
Because won't have enough fans, you know, or Debbie won't, you know, and Debbie is really kind of more for adults, if y'all want to ride from wherever to wherever. She's got a little nicer vans, and she's going to cost a little bit more and all that, but the kids can use Debbie as well. And she needs to know ahead of time, she's got 3 or 4 vans, but she's got to have drivers for those vans.
Page 8, submitting the Cavalier names, and have y'all all selected your Deb's presenter and your Deb's escort? Is anybody, well, you know what, for the people that aren't here, I just need to reiterate that the the presenter is usually an older father, stepfather, grandfather, family friend. All that's possible for the presenter. And then her escort is usually younger, closer to her age, maybe a brother or a neighbor or a family friend. But do not let her talk you into making the escort the current love of her life. Not a good idea. The love of her life can be a Cavalier. He can come to everything else. If he is so special that she wants him to come to the presentation, y'all have 4 seats. One will be for you. But if you want to give him one of those 4 seats, that's okay. He's your guest. But just, maybe he could just wait an hour and then be there for the ball, her date for the ball, which means he needs to be a Cavalier, which he will be already because of the Cavalier party and the this and the that. So please, no boyfriends as the escort. The escort has to, rent tails. It's not like he can make a last-minute change. Last-minute changes in names are really difficult to get to the MC and get that right and go through the practice and the rehearsal. Just please try to make that happen. At the bottom of that page, you're talking about the entertaining guidelines. I think the most important thing there is if y'all are connected with a party, well, you all will be, just make sure that an invitation gets sent to the area advisor of the ones who are being honored, and then to the publicity chairman, because sometimes she makes a little allusion to the invitation, and then also to the scrapbook chairman, who is on her way to Birmingham right now. She couldn't be with us today, but she brought a scrapbook so you can look through invitations or dresses should you need to.
Area
But
advisor, scrapbook chairman, and who was the other person?
let's see. Oh, area advisor, scrapbook chairman. Yeah, I was going to say the publicity chairman, Mrs. Darden. Her name's in the front. Okay, and just let's be clear that the Southern Debutante Assembly has an alcohol policy that understands and recognizes that Mississippi law prevents serving alcohol to anyone under the age of 21. And please do what you can, especially with your special friends, to encourage them to act with dignity and restraint, because their behavior is a reflection on you and the Southern Debutante Assembly. Since y'all are the super moms, I'm assuming y'all each have your garden party dress already? Okay. That can be kind of tricky because it's a rather unusual party, which is nice. But I always tell people just to think outdoor wedding bridesmaidy dress. comfortable. We used to stress flats because it was literally in someone's garden, but it will not be this year. But she is going to be, we all love the high heels, but she will be standing and receiving and meeting people for quite some time. So I would say comfortable shoes, because you've got a party to dance at that night. You want your feet feeling good. The most important thing about the garden party dress is make sure it is white or a soft pastel shade. No strong patterns or colors. And the jewelry should be simple, like pearls or a single pair of small earrings. She'll need the little white gloves, which is always important every year, but this year, I'm not sure if they're going to actually be shaking hands or just maybe a little nod, a bow, a curtsy, which is what I'm hoping for. But having the gloves will be an advantage to her. Needless to say, y'all need pronto this afternoon to be making hotel reservations and figuring out who you need to make reservations for, because it is a holiday weekend and this is not New York City. Okay. All right, so moving along to page 13, the rehearsal. It's going to be 10 o'clock, Friday, May 28th. Please be prompt, and please tell your presenter and your escort that they just need to wear a dress shirt and a pair of slacks, something comfortable. We had one poor child one year when they were supposed to have a suit on because they were going to another Master of Ceremonies party, but nobody told the escort, and he breezed in his camo hunting jumpsuit. And he was not a happy camper. So let's keep these guys happy. Let them know where they need to be, when they need to be, and that sort of thing. One kind of unique thing, so the girls, the debutantes, are going to go from this rehearsal at 10 to a luncheon at another location at 12. So they will come dressed in their luncheon clothes, but they need to wear their presentation shoes, because we get them all lined up in the heights and put them on the stage and make sure everybody can see them. And also, the presentation shoes probably benefit by a little breaking in, a little scuffing up, and that should help. So bring those shoes, or if she gets here, somebody's going to have to bring them to her. No need for that. The other thing is going to be easier because they're going for a luncheon instead of a cocktail party or something with the Cavaliers. Usually the girls want to wear something very tight, very short, but learning how to curtsy and practicing your curtsy when you are surrounded by gentlemen and you have a short, tight dress on is impossible to do correctly and modestly, to use an old-fashioned word. So this is her time to wear something cute and comfortable and something that she can easily curtsy in. And then make sure that you and the escort, well, no, wrong year for that comment. And you will be getting an invitation to the luncheon, which will be somewhere here in Greenwood. We have lots of yummy places to eat. And at the same time, the 2021 girls will be having a luncheon at a separate location. Okay, so we've gone from 10 to 12. The luncheon's at 12, and they'll probably eat fairly quickly because at 3, the Debs need to be dressed for the garden party and at the Episcopal Church of the Nativity. Now, y'all probably all know where the Alluvian is, and across that side street is a beautiful old brick church. That's the Episcopal Church of the Nativity. And she will arrive at 3 with the Debs. We do not need y'all's help there. It is your time to go take a bubble bath or do something to pamper yourself. So just the girls, we need the girls by themselves. And we're going to take good care of them. We're going to photograph them. We're going to give them a treat, a snack, and something to drink, so that by the time you get there and all your crew at 5, they'll be hydrated and happy to see you. Now, after the book was published, things tightened up a good bit. So on the middle of page 13A, you know, who is invited to the y'all's garden party, the 2020 garden party in May? Of course, all the parents of all the honorees and the grandparents. And then just a few board members will be there working and doing what needs to be done. I was looking to Christine for total confirmation on that, but she's off at another meeting. But basically, parents and grandparents. Normally, we invite patrons, we invite the Cavaliers and their dates, but we are trying to do this safely, so they can visit with them at another time. All right, and then you finish that at 6:30, and at 7 is your Master of Ceremonies party. And lots of things have changed on that score too. So the updated version of what's going to happen at the Master of Ceremonies party is it's going to be again at the Episcopal Church. It's going to be from 7 until you kind of want to go have a dinner reservation. Unfortunately, I love food. I love to eat. I love party food. But because of the COVID, we cannot have anything passed, or, you know, it's too quick for like a meal and you're going to have dinner later. So, take a little snack before you go. But we will have champagne and wine or beer. I'm not totally sure on the alcohol for that, but you will be able to have a drink. And you don't have to have a separate outfit. Just come and wear your garden party attire, and the gentlemen can wear their garden party attire. And also, if the 2020 Master of Ceremonies this year is Walton Gresham from Indianola and his wife Laura. So we're excited about that.
Is that different from what's listed in here?
It is very different. It's just going to be the parents of the debutantes. And if you have a presenter who is a family friend, an uncle or whatever, it's really up to y'all and to him whether he wants to come to the Master of Ceremonies party or just maybe join you at dinner later. But he is invited. Did that answer your question?
Here it says the historic Elks building, it's not there, it's at the Episcopal Church.
Right. Had a little
And it's
snack.
just our dub group, not the group board.
Correct. This will be because theirs will be at Christmas at the normal time.
So, parents of the debutantes, and do the presenters come?
It's up to you and to them if they would like to come. They'll be invited,
Okay.
but most of the presenters are daddies. So,
Okay.
yeah. So a separate invitation will be sent. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure this out because here's my situation.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many situations.
So my daughter's twin brother is her what? Her daddy is her presenter and the.
Escort.
Is the escort. Is he invited to this? No. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry.
We just didn't think that would be on their top 10 fun list. So they'll be gearing up for what comes next.
Right. I just,
Yeah. And I don't think I said it earlier, but the escort must be at least 16 years old. At 7, the master ceremonies party will go on. Oh, I've got that. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah. But also, a couple lines down, also at 7, the 2020 Debs and their dates dinner party will be out here. And then the joint 2020-2021 Cavalier party will be here. I mean, they'll eat over there and then they'll all dance in here from 9 to 12. So from 7 to 9, many of the moms will be given that dinner party, and it'll be a really nice evening for them. You know, they're not having to go and do, they'll just be chilling here all night. Okay, got that.
and this is where their date has to be a Cavalier. The debutante for that.
Cavalier party.
Yeah.
Well, the dinner.
Well, in theory, the date, her dinner date doesn't have to be a Cavalier because that's a private party given by parents. But he's probably going to be her date after dinner at the Cavalier party, which is sponsored by Cavaliers. And when you see in this book that at such and such party, Cavalier party, the gentleman needs to be in good standing, that's a nice way of saying his dues to the Cavaliers need to be paid because that's their club, that's everyone there is a Cavalier. See, so
And all debutantes do need to have a date to that dinner?
they do not.
If they want a date, they can have.
They
it.
have a
It's not,
date.
like mandatory.
Yeah, but if any gentleman is at a Cavalier function, he must be a Cavalier in good standing. But she doesn't have
What's the norm? Somebody tell me, because this
They
is my
have-
first debutante.
They're all Cavaliers.
No, like for.
Oh,
yeah.
there's
Why-
most,
Aren't you?
Through the dinner?
yes, I'd probably say 75 to 80% have got dates.
Okay, thank y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've asked a young man to come and do this, I think you could take him to dinner, as your date.
I think I get what you're saying, because her brother's gonna present her. Does she wanna bring a date?
Right.
To the party and to the dinner, and not her brother? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, in order to not embarrass her, I'm asking, what is the norm?
Yeah.
Well, I think don't people have dates?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
it's,
the answer
eight,
is
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
80% of them have got dates.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Well,
That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can find her a date.
Oh, yeah. Caroline, just order one up, and she'll give you lots of choices.
I know a bunch of them that go to state,
Okay.
so I can hook her up.
Okay. We'll see where she goes with it.
You never, I mean, I almost hate this is being recorded because it's so cheesy, but it's true. I've had like a couple of girls come up to me and say, X number of years ago, I had a date for this party, and we've been married for, X years, and that's why my child is here. And I thought, whew, you just never know. So it's kind of fun. And if she doesn't like him, she never has to see him again.
That's right.
Okay. So we've gone over who which is very wrong on page 14, who's invited to the garden party. Debutantes, their debutantes, their parents and grandparents, pages, their parents and grandparents. Page escorts, their parents and grandparents. Also, it bears saying that, like, this is a family weekend, and sometimes they're younger siblings who would love to come and watch and, do all that, but they are not invited. As my father used to say, this is a big people's party. So no one younger than the Deb is going to be at any SDA function other than the pages and the page escorts that are being honored. So another decision you have to make if you're in that category, what is Susie going to do while we're off at the ball? All right, so on page 15, photography, we've talked a little about that already. The night of the ball, Lambs, who has been doing our photography for maybe 4 or 5 years, they're wonderful, they're great to work with. Typically, there are 2 spots where you can have your pictures taken. Let me just say, when the Debs get here for the ball, they're going to come in photo ready and get their picture, their individual, their group, and the big group picture taken. And when all that is done, we all go back and love up in a little room back there. And once that happens, there's no sashaying about, because we want, when they come through those doors with their escort and their presenter, we just really want that to be the first time that everybody gets to see them in their beautiful gown. So we have board members who are back there tending to them. And if we could keep family visits to a minimum, we'd really appreciate that. I'm trying to somehow get access to another room so they have more room to spread out. I'll be back in touch about that. I hope so. So a good idea, since y'all get here a little early, if you get here, the presentation starts at 8. If you get here about 7:15 and get in line, the photographers are there for a group picture. And the room across from the ladies' bathroom is usually one of the 2 places they're set up. So that y'all can take family pictures back there without the Debs going all throughout the club. And so we tried different, over the years, we've tried different ways, making a reservation at a certain time, and that just never works. So it's first come, first served. So if you have your plan to be at the club at a certain time, get in line, we'll pull the debutante out of her room, have the family picture, and then you're kind of good. Photography, cameras are not allowed, video equipment is not allowed during the presentation, but afterward, everybody's got a cell phone in your pocket. Take away, take all the pictures you want after the presentation at the ball. And if you want Lamb to take a picture of a group, maybe people that couldn't get here earlier, just whatever, there's so many different combinations. They're happy to do that for about 45 minutes after that. But it just takes coordination and everybody being on the same page. Oh, another part about being in that room, thankfully, we have had as many as, I think, 32 Debs. And so 21 is just heaven for me. I also do the reserved seating. So that is really a good thing, but do not let them come in their gown with, a big sack full of makeup and shoes and, I don't know what, because there's really not room for it. And then when we all get up to be presented, who's going to look after that? And the club does a great job of trying to keep things secure, but neither the Debutante Assembly or the club can be responsible for that. There's a coat room right out here. We can check things in the coat room where you can send things out to the car. But the best thing is just, bring a minimum of stuff. The night of the presentation, when your presenters and escorts are due here, I think it's at 7:15, yeah. And they'll come in the ballroom, they'll get a letter about all this. They'll get a boutonniere and to put on them. They will be in tails. We have not talked about that, and I certainly don't want to miss that. Wait, 19. Let's switch ahead to page 19. The bottom of 19, it tells you exactly what is needed. Now, if you have somebody that has a formal military uniform, that's cool. They can wear that, always looks nice. But typically, your white tie and tail and everything that's involved, please be a good mama and stress that when the gentleman picks up his formal wear, he checks for each piece. He makes sure his name is in it with maybe some tape. We've talked to the formal wear people because I know the young men who are at the ball kind of get hot sometimes and they'll lay their coats down. Well, every coat looks exactly the same, and then they get to turn it back in, and that's a nightmare. So we don't want that. And if they could slip things on, everything doesn't always fit perfectly, and we can, y'all can make some adjustments. They're going to be nervous enough, excited enough, I should say, and we don't want any last-minute craziness. So I'm in charge of reserved seating for the presentation. And y'all have all been here, but it's kind of like going to a wedding. It's one thing to go to a wedding. It's another thing when it's your daughter's wedding, you notice a whole lot more. Or after your daughter has a wedding, you start noticing a whole lot more. So typically we have the first 2 rows of chairs on each side are going to be reserved for y'all. Every Deb gets 4 seats. You take one of them, which leaves 3. And the idea is if you have 2 sets of living grandparents, we, are hoping that they can be a part of this. So in that case, you'd need an extra chair. Contact me in advance and let me see if I can arrange that. Typically, in a normal year, the board section is back over here, and then the chairs which have the Deb's last name on the back of them, your 4 or 5 chairs. And they'll start and just go alphabetically around the room. So it's random. There's no seat that's better or worse. They're all good. But it will be in the Deb's last name, which in case of a second marriage or whatever, people coming in. And if you don't have enough, if your grandparents aren't able to come, then if you've got those chairs, you can put whomever you want to in the chairs. But when they come, it's a real quick thing. They're going to be greeted by a board, an escort, and escorted to their seats. And they kind of need to have a heads up on kind of where, who's the chair's name under and kind of where it's going to be. So you can imagine kind of where you're going to be for that. I will entertain requests for extra chairs, but like, don't ask for 10. If there's an odd situation, and I've heard all the situations, but typically the ladies will be in the front, and maybe their husbands can be just literally like third row, fourth row, because the ladies want the better seats and should have them for sure. No doubt about that. You are going to get your seating chart phone call on April the 5th. And your area advisor is going to fill out this great big old form. You're going to need the formal name for everyone who's sitting. And obviously, if it's Mr. and Mrs., it's going to be number 2 and 3, not 2 Mr. and Mrs. These are bodies in the chairs. But you're going to need their formal names and their addresses. Also, this section is for the presenter. And if it's your husband, easy. If not, you might not know your next door neighbor's middle name, or if he's the third or the junior or whatever. And then the same even more so for the escort. Unless, of course, he's the twin, and then you've got it easy. So, the assembly needs that information by April the 5th. So that's something y'all could be doing now, knowing that phone call is coming. Any questions about the seating? There's so many different things that come up. And we're going to try, as I was saying, this year, we're probably not going to have the Deb section, so I'm going to do my very end with only 21 Debs, music to my heart. We'll just do the best distancing we can, but we will need definitely everyone in a mask, for sure, the entire time while we're in here together. The debutantes will not be wearing a mask, or the presenter, I know, deer in the headlights look, what? But everybody sitting here, for everyone's good, will be in a mask that's properly put on.
Then what about afterwards, the dancing?
Well, we just hope they'll be wearing them unless they're eating there will be food, but drinking. You know, you could just put it down, take a sip.
But you're supposed to dance in a mask?
Sure. We can't make you. We can't make you. But it's the wise thing to do. Also, after the presentation, of course, the Debs come last, and then they're escorted off the stage, and they kind of dance their way out. And then you guys really need to have told your guests, all right, this is also the place that the dance is going to take place. And all the help has got to swoop in here, take up several hundred chairs, roll out tables and cocktail tables and all that, which is a big job. And they can usually do that in 15, 20 minutes, but they need bodies to be out of here. So, you know, tell them, let's go over and get in the food line or go somewhere, but just please leave here. Another definite thing that they need to know on the front end is during the presentation, there is no alcohol or anything to drink in here. Ice rattles, people set it down, and then it's time to get ready for the ball, and there's ice and stuff all over the floor, it has to be mopped up. It lasts an hour. It's okay. So the other thing is if the presenter and the escort get here early at 7:15 and would like a drink, they can get a drink, but don't be ordering a drink at 10 minutes till 8 because you don't have time to drink it. And the doors really do close at 7:55. Fashionably late is going to be a disaster for your family and friends because they cannot get in. And that's, you know, the presentation is what it's all about. And we want everybody to be happy, so make sure they know to be here on time. Bless you. All right. We've talked about the rehearsal and bringing the shoes and about the curtsying. Oh, you know what?
Rehearsal too, the drink tables will be open. I mean,
Yeah.
the ticket tables will be open, so if you wanna go on and get your
Yeah.
tickets for drinks for the ball, you can get them, you know, the husbands will be here for rehearsal, and they can go ahead and buy a bunch of drink tickets. That way you're not standing in that line. You know, then standing in, you know, to get drink line.
Okay. No questions. I think the back of the book is more geared toward the 2021 crowd. Let me see. Oops. So please go by this until further notice and not the back of the book because things have changed so much. Okay. All right, well, we do have a little extra time, which is a lot of extra time, which is great. Caroline, have I missed something big? I'm sure I have. It may occur to me.
Yeah, just the rehearsal dress that they're gonna wear, we make them curtsy like 412 times. And it, you know, not too short.
And tight.
Curtsy in front of their dad.
Yes, lots of gentlemen.
And I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I can't find it, but
Uh-oh.
it said something about if your grandparents are, they're gonna automatically be invited if you're a debutante and you don't have to.
Yeah. Okay, I'll think through this. In a normal year, grandparents, all the honorees' grandparents are invited to the garden party, but they're not invited to the ball and presentation. We have waived that for this year. They do, so in a normal year, if they want to come to the ball and presentation, they need to be patrons, which can be arranged through your area advisor. But I just, I said, they're here. They've got to be able to come to the ball without paying a fee, so they're good. Not true for this afternoon crew, because it'll be a different thing.
For the 4 invitations that the Debs get, does she have to use for the ball?
We hadn't talked about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Does she have to use one of those invitations for her date? Like if she wanted a date for the ball?
If her date's a Cavalier, then no.
Cavalier.
If he's a Cavalier, then no, because the Cavaliers get an invitation to the ball. They get an invitation to the ball, not the presentation, not the ball.
But if he's not a Cavalier, then she would have to use one of her invitations for her, you know?
And these are double bid invitations. And you can just, like Caroline was saying, you can get a lot of your buddies invited that way. But the people who are coming for the ball, which starts at 9, not before, I don't think they'll even be able to get in the building until 9. We do have security, and they must be her age. Well, she's a year older now. It must be
Finished their freshman year in
college.
as of,
Yeah.
April, May, whenever they're getting out this year.
Right, so no one from high school.
And
Right.
and, they can be, like, my daughter had seniors in college and they were still coming back.
And they do have to wear a tux, right?
To the ball, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And the girls, and y'all are the only way, the special friends and the dates of the special friends will not know this unless you tell it to them several times. Everyone at this ball has a long formal dress on. It could be the cutest short dress you've ever seen, but she doesn't need to be wearing it to this. And, you know, just because it's the Southern Debutante Assembly, we say no formal pants. It's just kind of a thing. We're not going to ask you to leave, but, you know, it just has a different ambiance with everyone, and the gentlemen in the formal attire and the ladies in kind of ball gowns. So pull out that ball gown, dust that thing off, and wear it. So the 4 special friends, as I said, their names are due by April the 5th. So be thinking how she's going to work that. We added that, I'm going to say about 8 years ago, and it really makes it so much more fun for the girls at the ball. They have a great time with
What
it.
if one of the 4 special friends decides not to bring a boy to the ball, but wants to bring another girlfriend? Can you bring that? I mean, not, I mean, just. I'm just-
Right.
That's a girl. Yeah.
Right.
Right, not a girl.
Right. I guess.
I mean,
Because
I'm
it's a
just saying,
double bid
you know,
invitation
3
for
different
guiding.
dates, and
Yeah.
then they're like, well, I can't find a date, and this other friend wants to come, and,
Yeah.
I mean, can you do that, or?
You can, but here's a girl, he's going to get you a, yeah, she can't come to hang out at the Cavalier party. But she wouldn't be,
Okay.
yeah.
All right,
She
yeah,
has
I'm
to
just
be
trying to think
I know,
through
I mean,
what scenarios could happen and
they're so,
what would be but if they're just showing up for the ball and,
I'm not checking at the door at the ball, check at the door at the company.
she's just
No,
saying.
yeah.
she's got,
If she has somebody that,
who to invite, if she's got 6 friends and she can only invite 4, you know what I'm saying? But who knows who's even gonna be available to come, so.
then, you know, they all get to invite dates, and a date, you know, these days isn't like a date in my day. I mean, an escort is somebody to ride with, to make sure you get home, you know, a dinner, you know, just a buddy to go. But I guess she could, because she's a special friend, and that's a double bid invitation.
It's happened before.
Right,
Okay, I was just.
yeah.
But the night before is the Cavalier party, and that's been fun.
I know, and if she had a date, then she can do both, and
Right.
fun.
So they get 4 double bid invitations. So their friend that they invite can bring a boy that's not a Cavalier.
Or a girl. I mean,
Right, we just cleared it.
Yeah.
no, but I'm saying, the special invitations are boyfriends, friend boys, and girlfriends, so,
Okay.
yeah.
But if their friend wants to bring a date, it doesn't have to be a Cavalier.
Not to the ball.
Not to the ball,
Okay.
but anything that's sponsored by the Cavaliers, he has to be a Cavalier in good standing. So you know, at the beginning of this, I said, there are a lot of things to work out and think about and think through and communicate with. And somebody, when we were planning this, said, 2 hours? What are you talking about? What do y'all talk about for 2 hours? I said, there's plenty. We've cut it down, yeah. But, so I started to tell you, well, I guess I did. Let me just reiterate. So the special friends, you know, they really need to know, the ladies need to know to wear a long dress, so she won't be embarrassed or.
So the 4 friends are invited to the Cavalier party?
No.
Nope, unless,
Just the white and gold party, okay.
Invitations to the Cavalier party go to the debutantes and to
The Cavaliers.
And the Cavaliers get a double bid, so they can bring a date. The Deb gets an invitation, and she can bring a date. Okay, she doesn't have to, but she can. So, you know, if,
Well, I know two of Lily's friends signed up to be Cavaliers, but of course are Escort, so they can bring two of its girlfriends.
Yes, exactly. Just kind of work that.
Get with me and we'll check, make sure they're paid up.
I'm still confused.
Okay.
So the special friends come, and they bring dates.
They come to the
If
ball.
they wanna come to the Cavalier party,
They have,
special friends come to the Cavalier party? and
They're on the
we sign
arm
up?
of a date, they're on the
Okay,
arm of a paid
That's a
Cavalier.
paid Cavalier, okay.
All right, so you just said, oh, boy, I'm getting.
it's, no, it's confusing.
I'm not a debutante and a Cavalier, but he's with her song doing the escort thing, so I'm trying to figure out where he's gonna be while she's doing her thing, you know what I'm saying? But-
Wait.
Okay, so now you're saying the Cavalier party, the Cavaliers get 2 invitations?
They get a double bid invitation to the Cavalier party, which means.
One for themselves.
Yes,
They get an invitation and they get to invite a date. That's the double bid.
Okay. So there's no outstanding invitations if you're not a Cavalier.
Right.
It's just the Cavaliers get it. Okay, got it. So
But if you have you know, but if she has 6 girlfriends, she just needs to match somebody up with the Cavalier, and then they get the girl and the guy friend there for the ball. Following, that starts at 9 o'clock and goes till 12 after the 8 to 9 presentation. And if on the way home you're thinking, now wait a minute, what if, call us, let us know.